Welcome to this developer commentary video for Black Earth. This is a game that I made during my second year of university as part of a team of 4 people. This game is kind of a micromanagement zombie survival game, and this video won't be showing gameplay off too much. I'll mostly be discussing different design choices, how things work, and stuff like that. But if you look at the top right of the screen, you should be able to see a little annotation thing that takes you to just a pure gameplay video with no commentary whatsoever. So let's go ahead and press play. One of the first things that I would like to point out is that this game was made in, I think, 2016-17. And during that time, we did have a ground texture here, but I am playing on a build that has been updated for 2019, so the latest Unity build as of this video, and for some reason the ground is gone. So I do apologize that the inventory is quite difficult to see, but when I press next wave, we should hopefully be able to see the inventory a bit better. So I'm going to just walk you through the UI very quickly. So here we have the current night. So every time you start a wave, it becomes nighttime, and you fight through the night. Here we have the amount of souls you've taken, so every kill will get you 3 souls. Here is the icon for the number of kills that you've made. Here is the icon for the number of survivors in your kind of, I guess, team, squad, whatever you want to call it. Here is your research points, which is a feature that we never got to develop. And here is the amount of food available to you as part of your squad. If we click on View Report, you can see that every wave will provide an end of wave report, which will just tell you whether something interesting happened the night before or not. The shop will slowly stock up as the game progresses. Items may go on sale in the shop, and it's really actually one of my favorite mechanics because of just how the shop works. This and the wave report, which just kind of gives you a bit more information on what's going on. Survivors will be able to see those when the game continues, and research, of course, was unfinished. So if we return to game, we have a basic pistol, so if we press next wave, you can hopefully now see that our inventory system is working. So I can shift click to move things, kind of inspired by the Minecraft inventory system. You can move things to different slots. And then, of course, you can shoot at zombies by just left-clicking with a gun. So if I press 2 on my hotbar, I can't shoot because I don't have a gun equipped. If I press 1, I can also scroll, then I can shoot because I have a gun equipped. Occasionally, zombies will drop weapons that you can pick up, and we have a new report to look at. So let's have a look at that report. 2 new items are available in the shop, so that's the AK and the SPAS 12. So I think there are 3 weapons in the game, and then if we click on these, it says that we can't afford them right now because we need 200 souls, and currently we have 9. So let's return to the game. It still says new. Interesting, it shouldn't say that. That's fine. Down in the bottom right corner, we have our health, and we also have our hunger. So after every wave ends, our hunger will go down if we don't have enough food available, and we can grow more food by hiring survivors to work in the farm, which is here. So if we press next wave, we can start again. One of the biggest challenges with this game actually was the camera angle and getting the gun to shoot towards the mouse. Because of course the mouse, as I move it along the screen, is a 2D object. This mouse exists on the X and Y axis. But of course this is a 3-dimensional game. We can move up, down, and we can't jump, but it's a 3-dimensional game. And trying to have it so that the gun would face the mouse was the biggest issue, because we would have the player rotate towards the mouse, but actually the gun would be slightly to the right of the player facing the mouse. So the solution we came up with is actually that the gun rotates on its own accord. So if I move the mouse slightly, you can see the gun is always trying to follow the mouse position. And if you can see, those bullets are kind of always going at my mouse. That was the solution we came up with there. A new survivor joined our base. Wow, that's incredibly lucky. That usually doesn't happen for at least 10 to 20 waves. So now we need to find this person. If we assign them a role, they will walk into the place that they have been assigned. So for example, if we go to survivors and say they should be a farmer, they will now be dressed like a farmer and should be making their way over to the barn. But I'm not too sure where they spawned at. So if we wait for them to arrive at the barn, then the farmer should arrive. What was that? There we go. So we will see their name when it stops being on the white background. We don't see their name? Interesting. What is their name? Oh, they don't have a name. Okay. That's different. Okay. So clearly there are a few bugs to this game. This was made in 2016-17, but I'm very proud of what we managed to achieve. So if I set this guy back to be a fighter, they are changing clothes, and I can set them to be a doctor as well. So if I return, they will now heal you if they're also missing a leg. That's interesting. I really don't know what's happening here, but that is hilarious. So what we can also do with a survivor is we can send them scouting. So they're currently preparing, which means they haven't gone away just yet, but they will go away when we start the next wave. So they're scouting, so they're not actually present in this game environment. They still exist in memory, but they don't have a physical presence. Actually, they do exist in the 3D environment, but they are teleported to somewhere off way in the distance where you won't be able to see them because they're out of range. And what they will do is, the longer they are out for, the higher chance that they will come back with things. So they could come back with food, or they could come back with extra survivors. But the longer they are out for, the higher chance as well that they will die while they're out. So that's something you need to consider. So one survivor left the base to scout last night. So if we go to survivors, we can bring them home at any time. But as you see, their chance of death increases the longer that they're out searching. But the longer that they're out searching means that the higher chance they'll bring something back. Of course, all of the values haven't been tweaked to perfection. So for example, one of the things when I was playing this game before this video that I really disliked about this game is the fact that food. So one person staying in your... one survivor staying with you will consume one food per night, which makes sense. We have a report. A new item is available in the shop, so now we have the intervention, which is now available, which we cannot afford any of these yet. But in terms of the food, so one food will be consumed by one survivor each night. And you can assign a survivor to be a farmer, which means they will grow food for you each night. However, the way we tweaked it means that one farmer will only also grow one food. So if you have 5 survivors, the only way you can have 5 food is to have all of the survivors be farmers, which kind of defeats the point of having any other classes. So we'll do the next wave, and then we'll call this survivor home to see if it changes anything. I don't know what could happen, but we have that. So we picked up this weapon from a zombie that dropped the weapon. So if we just keep shooting. All of the weapons have different abilities. Well, not abilities, but they have different kind of mechanics behind them. So you can see that the Spas 12 does a lot more damage than the pistol, but it also has a durability bar. So as you shoot, regardless of whether you hit or not, the durability goes down. So if I was to keep shooting here, it runs out of ammunition and then it breaks. So the pistol never breaks, but isn't as good. But you've got something such as the AK-47, which has more ammo and it shoots faster, but it also has a durability bar which is going down. One scout was killed while scavenging last night, so we no longer have that scout. That's unfortunate. I was very interested to see what they would bring back, but hopefully we will acquire someone else to join our base very soon. But like I say, all of those values, so the probability of the scout dying is not based on any metrics. So one thing that could make this game really, really interesting for the future is that when you acquire a scout, they will or when you acquire a survivor, they will have their own traits. So one person might be really good at shooting and they might do more damage when shooting, or they might be really good at healing, so them being the doctor would benefit more. But an item is on sale, so now the AK is only 100. So we'll buy 2. And now if we return, it's in our inventory, and if I press shift and click, we can move it up so it's not in the hotbar anymore. But it's really hard to see with this white background. I do apologize. If I do this, it's so much easier and cleaner to see. But yeah, like I was explaining, this game was a very quick project that we had to make. We only had 1 term to make this game, and I am actually more than pleased with the outcome of the game. The biggest challenges for us was the modeling, because this was the second ever game I made for university, and I didn't do any of the modeling for this, but someone in our team did. They used Cinema 4D. You can tell by the Minecraft-esque models, which is actually something that I personally keep using throughout the development. So if you see From Zero, which is a game, another item is on sale. Oh, it's still the AK. I think they stay on sale for 2 days. If you see my From Zero video, you can see that all of those graphics also look especially the characters, also look extremely Minecraft style. And that's because it's very easy to model cube-based characters, and they don't actually look too bad. They don't look too bad at all. So I really like the graphics of this game, despite the obvious glitching of having multiple, I'd say cubes, because these are just cubes, overlapping each other. So instead of having one wall that's this and then another wall up in the air, we instead have one giant wall here and then one giant wall here, and they're overlapping. But if we walk into the building, the walls disappear, and that's literally just, you have a trigger here, and when the player collides with that trigger, it will hide the walls. And then the same kind of effect works with a raycast. So a raycast will come from the camera, and if it cannot see the player, it will make whatever it hits, so for this case it's the roof, it will make that kind of transparent. So if you walk behind a building, you can kind of see the, you can still see the wall, but you can't walk through it, and it's not completely invisible, so it just makes it a bit more transparent. And that was just to prevent you from getting lost behind anything. I'm not sure if it works on trees. It doesn't work on trees. This is just the default Unity vegetation anyway. And one thing you may have noticed if you've seen the other gameplay, or if you've been watching this game, is that the collision effects kind of work a bit uniquely. So you can see how the character's kind of vibrating and jumping around right now, especially if I collide with something like this tree. Zombies kind of work the same way, and that's just because of how the game was designed with the box sliders for the player. So that's one thing I would definitely work on. But as you can see, every time I shoot someone, I get given soul points. It says we have one survivor in the base. Do we? That's interesting. Maybe someone joined us, and we'll be told in the brief. So let's just finish. We missed someone. One thing you might have noticed is that when you start a wave, it starts at nighttime, and then every time you kill a zombie, the day slowly becomes more day. So, for example, if you watch the shadow here, when I kill this guy, you can see the shadow kind of jumps. And sometimes this does make a very hard... Did the shadow move? Because it just didn't. Interesting. Nothing interesting. Okay. So, here is a prime example. So, there's currently no shadow. So, if we wait, this is the research room. There's nothing in there at all. But I don't even know what we had planned for research. I think we just planned to make it so you could improve how much food you grew or stuff like that. So, if I shoot, you can see that slowly it is becoming much... okay. Yeah, this is the collision I was talking about. Slowly it is becoming much brighter. Very slowly, so there's no change just yet. There we go. So you may be able to see it now, that every time I make a shot, the scene... I don't know what he's doing. The scene becomes a little bit brighter until you kill all of them, and then it's the maximum brightness. And that's just kind of to represent that the sun is coming out slowly. But the way we did it was kind of horrible, because we don't let it the sun manually, or not manually, we don't let it lerp towards the next position, so it just jumps. So the shadow actually can seem quite sickly, especially when you're on a high wave. We have the report, and it is on sale. It's the SPAS 12 this time. So we can buy one of those. We can buy one of those as well. Next wave. So if you have a lot of zombies to shoot, the shadows look like they're just jumping, and it can create a very sickly effect. So I won't show that, don't worry. But that is kind of the main game. So if I just let myself die, I have 2 health. Every time they hit you, you get given kind of a grace period where they can't damage you again. And then if I get hit one more time, of course I could heal if I had allocated that survivor to be a doctor or a medic instead of sending them scouting. But because we don't have any doctors or medics, I can't heal. So instead, I will just let them touch me, and game over. This game over stream was inspired by Paladins, actually. So if you've ever played Paladins, you might see some resemblance. But we have all the main stats here. I can still see myself moving. Can I still walk? No. So game over, 40 minutes and 5 seconds. That is very inaccurate. It's been about 14 minutes and 5 seconds, so I have no idea why it says 40 minutes. 11 waves. Enemies killed 210, total food is 14, total research points is 0 because, we have no research. One survivor died, and we had 0 alive. So enemies killed 210, total food 14, total survivors 2, and then it adds all of these up to give our final score. So if we set a name of demo, spell it correctly, demo, high store submitted, so then we can return to the main menu, go into high stores, and there is demo in 4th place with a score of 226. Kind of close to everyone else's. I'm not too sure why... right, because the database isn't sorting by store. So I can fix that after this video. That's not a problem at all. If we show the modes, we have 3 different modes. This kind of hover effect was inspired by Overwatch, so you can see I've gone for a very Paladins Overwatch style UI here. We have 3 different modes. So the first is Colony, where you start with 15 survivors. So, do any of these survivors have names? This is incredibly interesting. One thing that I'm thinking is that I just recorded the demonstration video of this game, and I realized I hadn't closed the game down for this video. So one thing that could be happening is there's some kind of data being lost. 12 survivors could not be fed last night. Your farmers ran out of food. 2 new items. So if we just allocate people as farmers. Yeah, one thing that I'm thinking is that when I finished playing the game last time, some kind of data had been set in the database that shouldn't have been set, so now no one has a name. Because what I'm thinking, because I did play this mode in the video, so one thing I'm thinking is that when a name is chosen for a survivor, it is removed from the database. So it cannot be used again because you don't want 2 characters, NPCs with the same name. But I'm thinking that it doesn't add them back in when you start the game again. So that's why I'm assuming we're missing names for everyone. But if you have looked at the other video, people do have names, don't worry. We don't have enough to buy anything. Research is soon. And we can see that all of these people are now farmers, and they're just going to stay in here. But they do still attack. So the way it works is a survivor, who has the fighter role, will kind of find enemies and approach them. Whereas anyone who's allocated as a farmer or a doctor or a researcher will go into their little dedicated area. So this is the farm, and they will stay there. But if a zombie gets too close, they will still attack. And interestingly, because I'm inside, they can shoot through the walls, because there are no walls because we're inside. So that's very interesting. But as you can see, farmers have grown 15 extra food, and that's literally because we have 15 farmers. So it's kind of a bad thing to have, though I assume that with our research we were going to make it so you'd grow extra food per night. And one other thing that we did want to have was the ability to upgrade the base, and this was something in our design documents as well. We just completely ran out of time. But we really wanted to make it so, for example, you could build your own walls, build your own buildings, upgrade buildings to make them bigger and fancier. But time just unfortunately did not permit us to do that. So can I shoot as well out of this wall? I can! That's very interesting. So I'm assuming what we did is we just made it so the game object, which was this wall, is just completely hidden. So instead of just making the mesh renderer hidden, which would keep the box collider there so it would still collide with the wall, we've instead made the entire wall hidden, so there is no wall, so I can just shoot through it. It's quite fascinating to see that, and I really love seeing how I kind of focused on making games back then. And that's what this commentary is kind of about. It's just discussing how different parts of the game work. It's not really to say, oh, this game is great or this game is terrible. It's just to kind of show off how I approach certain aspects of the game and the kind of mechanics we had. And having all of these guys group up here. So this kind of grouping AI is happening because all of them are trying to get to the very center of this barn. They're all trying to get into the middle. Farmers have grown 15 food. Your farmers run out of food. A new item is available. That'll be the intervention, because we only have 3 weapons in the shop, and then we have an extra one, which is the pistol, which I think there was at one point you could drop your weapon or swap it with someone else. I'm not too sure if I remember how to do that, though. Because I think, as far as I remember, it's been a very long time since I looked at this game, that you could give your weapon to another survivor. But I really don't remember. But that's... So if I walk in, you can see how their bullets are kind of Yeah. So that's this mode. All you have to do is survive, and then once all of these people die, or you die, it's game over. Exit to main menu. We also have Devil's Advocate, which I'll show last. We have Staying Alive as well, which kind of works identically to the rest, except there is one kind of modification where every single second that the game is going, this excludes the wave selection. When the buttons show up here, you're not affected by this because there is no wave, but when a wave is active, you will lose 1 health every second, and the objective is to survive. So because there's no more enemies, our health isn't going down anymore, we can view the report, still have the shop, the survivors can join you, all of that jazz. And if a survivor kills an enemy, then you'll still get the health back. And it may seem like this mode is very difficult, because currently our health is 8% or 80% of what it should be, but you will notice that very, very quickly the spawn rate for these zombies is increasing exponentially, so I'm already back at 100 health, and that will keep going until you run out of health. And the cool thing is that you can walk up to a zombie, and you now have, instead of 5 health, you have 100, so you can just let them mess you around a little bit, play with the physics, see if you can land somewhere you shouldn't, because you have basically unlimited health, if you pull this off correctly, because all I have to do now is kill a few of these zombies, and I'm already back at mostly full health. So we can let them kind of attack me again, and you can just see how the physics is horrendous, and I don't think we ever got that sorted out fully. If I pick up this weapon... yeah, there we go. And I also think that zombie health increases as waves go on. Don't quote me on that, because I really don't remember. But essentially we just have a few spawn areas. So we have a spawn area here, we have a spawn area over on the right as well, and a spawn area down at the bottom. So I think this spawn area is already finished, so if I walk over this way... yeah, so they're all spawning from the right. And that's essentially all this mode is, so you just have to survive. And the reason we added modes was once again because it always feels more fun to have a game where you can play the normal mode, but you might get tired of the normal mode, so you might find a mode that you think, hey, this is fun. And much like with Crazy Taxi, a lot of people really prefer playing Devil's Advocate. So in this mode, which has been massively nerfed since I remember we coded it, because now you start with 5 survivors, you start with so many weapons as well. So if I press next wave, this wave will probably never end. It's wave 666, and it's no different from the normal game mode, except it just starts you off on wave 666 instead of wave 1, and it just starts you off with some weapons as well that it puts into your inventory, and it starts you off with 5 survivors in your base, but nothing else is changed. So this guy is probably going to die because he's very far away, but he should start retreating. He didn't start retreating, I think... oh no, he's still alive, okay. He didn't die yet, but he should start retreating if... so all of these guys are shooting at the wall. So I'll just let my survivors see how they handle this for the time being. So this guy here, yeah, he's just died. We have 3 survivors left. I don't know what happened to the 5th one, but no worries there. If you have a look at the video I recorded for the demonstration of this game, we survived a lot longer because the AI is kind of... I coded the AI, and I did my best to kind of make it smart, so it will basically have a... it will analyze the situation, it will have a kind of a decision to make on what to do, so it will stay in one position like this, and then if a zombie gets too close, it should hopefully start retreating away from the zombie, so then in this case it would do this. But the AI isn't very smart, and apparently neither am I, because I'm about to die as well. And this mode can be extremely challenging, because we already killed 159 zombies. That's probably 2% of the total zombies that will spawn. I just realized that this timer is from when you loaded the game, not from when you started the mode. So that explains why the game's been running for 49 minutes. Amazing. High scores are only available in the main game mode. We were thinking that we should have high scores for each different mode, but that's just something we didn't want to implement because it would take too long. So we just added one high score system instead. But I do recommend, because I visited this game for the first time today in 2 years, and I started playing it for the video that I did of the demonstration, and I really enjoyed playing it, so I would highly recommend checking out the download links in the description. If you'd like to view the source code, maybe work on the game a bit more, expand it, try and fix the horrible... because you can see here there was grass. This is a screenshot from the game. We did have grass in the original, but I don't know what happened to it. If you'd like to try and fix that, or work on the game, you're more than welcome to. It's under an MIT license, so feel free to take the game code. If you have any questions about how the game was made, or any questions about some of the mechanics in the game, you're more than welcome to get in touch. But other than that, and other than this typo here that I really dislike, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.